Welcome to the Optimistic Curmudgeon, where the best ideas win. This is a special episode of my show where I'm actually interviewing two of my students. Anya and Matthew are taking a modern communications class with me, and I figured today we should do a commemorative episode for the 5th of November. They don't know what we're talking about today, but they'll find out here in just a moment. Guys, introduce yourselves.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Matthew Roll. I am a student of Thales College, and I've been here for about 2.5 years. I don't know whether to call myself a junior or senior. I don't really have a
But graduation's coming soon.
That is true.
Yeah.
So,
Hi guys, my name is Anya Andorsova. I've been at Thales. This will be my 4th year because I did dual enrollment and then continued my education here, and I'm graduating in the spring. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, for my money, you guys are both seniors. I've kind of defaulted to first year, second year, seniors is sort of the way I approach that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've always wondered what's the gap, because you have a pretty clear from freshman to sophomore, and then you got to make a compromise for junior and senior.
Nobody really knows. We're
Yeah.
all just kind of making up the naming. I think we're doing the same thing with terms versus semesters. I think we're all in agreement. We just want to avoid quarters because that's what they call it at Thales Academy. But here at Thales College, we need something better than quarters.
I agree. It's a whole better feel.
With the graduates, we kind of were making jokes. We're like, we're soft juniors, or like just kind of messing around. Or like when it was the summer semester, we're like, oh, we're officially like sophomores, and then we're sophomores in the summer and fall, and then juniors in the spring and summer. So
Maybe
I
we're
love
juniors.
we're juniors.
Yeah, we can be juniors.
There we go. Do y'all know the literal meaning of the word sophomore?
Aren't you a wise fool? if you're a
That's it.
sophomore?
That's right. That's the sophos, and then the more makes it a soft fool. So it's like you know just you're a wise fool. You know just enough to be dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we should chat about the 5th of November, and I'm assuming you guys don't know the poem then, so I'll recite the poem.
No, we don't.
No.
Remember, remember, the 5th of November, the gunpowder treason and plot. I know of no reason the 5th of November should ever be forgot.
Thanks
I've
for
not
sharing.
heard this poem.
No, I have
No.
not.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't
So
ring a bell.
the 5th of November is a fascinating moment in English history.
Mm-hmm.
So for this to make sense, we got to back it up just a little bit. You guys remember the Protestant Reformation?
Mm-hmm.
England is gone pretty Protestant after Henry VIII discovered he really needed a divorce. That was his great theological motivation. Definitely how you should make all religious decisions in your life. When I need a divorce, I need a denomination that lets me divorce.
Yeah.
Well, so England had a long-standing history of deeply, deeply Catholic families, many of whom were in the Catholic nobility. So, not too many years after Henry breaks from Rome, and then you've got all this back and forth with Bloody Mary and Lady Jane Grey, and then finally Queen Elizabeth. Well, England seems to be fairly Protestant. Well, you get this Catholic guy named Guy Fawkes, who he comes up with a plan about how to make England safe for Catholics forevermore. Mm-hmm. His plan is to blow up Parliament. Definitely.
That's a smart idea.
Right, because, obviously terrorism is the best way to persuade people that your religious perspective is correct. It's the gunpowder treason and plot was Guy Fawkes' attempt to come up with he had a plan to blow up Parliament. Now, he did not blow up Parliament, but instead, every year on the 5th of November, all the kids in England, I think still to this day, they wear Guy Fawkes masks, and they then burn Guy Fawkes in effigy as a way of commemorating the fact that Parliament was not destroyed, the English rule of law and ordered life was not blown up by a very extreme Catholic terrorist once upon a time. So this is the 5th of November. You guys have not heard this story before?
No.
I have not. No.
Okay. Any thoughts on the story before we go to something different?
I'm not exactly sure, but this is probably something I should have known. Obviously, I could see it resonating well in English tradition. A lot of English pride maybe to come out of that time period has something to do with Catholic Protestant animosity.
Oh, very
With
much
usually
so.
Protestants, getting the upper hand. So it's something I could definitely believe.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story that eventually, like, thankfully nothing happened, but it's also kind of cool that it was like every year it's like people like remember, and if it's still to this day, that kids will dress up and.
That's one of the things that English culture still has a lot of pieces of that really, in America, we don't really have those kinds of like super widespread, deeply historical cultural moments.
Yeah.
I mean, we have big civic holidays like the 4th of July, but we don't really have, we just don't have enough history and enough cultural homogeneity to have those kinds of things.
Yeah. I think
But
with that, there's so many different cultures that have come to America because America is a nation of immigration. So just kind of uniting everybody on like one front, and that is a little bit more difficult than it would be for England or even any European and Asian country, since they have a much longer history.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, going back to the English, they definitely have some interesting, let's just say, blocks in their history. Because if you go to certain cathedrals, churches, say one in Canterbury, for instance, maybe you'll walk in and you'll see there's an open space where the altar once was. And you say, well, okay, what's this about? Well, this is part of our history that we don't really maybe want to talk about as much as maybe what you just brought up.
Well, and there's a whole other side too, where Henry VIII, particularly, I think it was 1534. He literally, it's called the dissolution of the monasteries, and he kind of basically stole all the monasteries and then sold them off to the different royal families in England, who were very excited to give the king lots of money for land that technically belonged to the Catholic Church and the monasteries there. That to this day is the foundation of the royal family in England's money.
That's right.
I just think it's fascinating. Now, I too did not know that story growing up. I actually encountered that story when I kind of got into reading graphic novels. Have y'all ever heard of a graphic novel called V for Vendetta?
I don't think so. No.
It was turned into a movie circa 2005. I don't know if y'all have movies like this, but there are certain movies I hit at the right stage of life that I encountered, and I just loved these. I went through something of a libertarian phase in high school, and I was very excited about like opposing government, kind of getting rid of all kinds of silly laws. And then I found this graphic novel, and then I watched the movie, and it's all about a guy who you find out at the end of the movie, he has this horribly disfigured face because he went through this burning that was really the government's fault, and he's wearing a Guy Fawkes mask. And he found that poem and just decided that was his life's philosophy. And he is dedicated to bringing down the government, all governments everywhere, and establishing a state of anarchy instead.
How lovely.
As worked with a graphic novel turned into a Hollywood movie adaptation, it was a great movie when I was about 17. Any older than that, and I think it all starts to fall apart.
So would you say this is like a romance moment for libertarianism?
Something
in
like
film?
that, where you're just like, oh, what if there was no government? And at first, all you think about is like, well, there'd be no rules, and kind of like that moment in you guys have seen the Disney movie The Lion King, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Do you remember that moment where the hyenas are saying, "No king, fa la 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 la"?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's Scar's next line?
Oh, it's been
is
about
risky.
10 years
I know.
since I've watched this movie.
Same here. At least
Scar
10 years.
follows that up with, "Idiots, there will be a king. I will be king." And that seems to me to be what actually happens anytime there's massive political turmoil. You have, for a moment, it's like, oh, there will be no king. Oh no, somebody else is going to be the king.
Yeah. There's always a gap to be filled.
Yeah, for sure. But the 5th of November, I always think about that. It's like there's this, there definitely is there's an attraction to what if we could blow up the status quo and do something different.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever had any idea, thoughts of like, okay, if you could replace the current political order, what would you replace it with?
Oh, gosh.
Oh, I have. Yeah, maybe I'm a little biased in my religious, I guess, orientation, but I wouldn't mind a Catholic state. But I know I would be quite singled out, which, I would understand. But
Yeah, I would not
that's just
agree
my
with
personal
you
conviction.
because I'm...
Now, just to be clear, would that be a Catholic monarchy?
Yeah, ideally,
Okay.
I would say so.
Well, you're in good company. There's a integralism as a Catholic movement has had something of a moment over the last few years.
That's
there's
right.
There's a lot of energy in trying to think about, has liberalism failed? Not
Yes.
conservative versus liberal, but like liberalism
As a whole, quasi-liberalism.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Has that just failed? Have we lost sight of any kind of ultimate transcendent values? And if those transcendent values are real, I know plenty of Catholic folks who would say, well, yeah, obviously they're real, and the Catholic Church has those, and so we should basically be in charge.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, there's I even see this because recently in our politics class, maybe you're aware of this back and forth between, I'm sure you know Patrick Jeeniors.
Oh, yeah.
Between him and, I forget, you were in the class too, his name is Philip Munoz or something?
I think so.
I don't remember. Somebody else from, I can't remember the name of the website, but it was this back and forth, the reevaluation of, okay, what exactly, does liberalism lead to the sort of kind of artificial connections we have today between state, church, family, etc., or is there like a healthy balance? Can liberalism, and it all comes down to fundamentals, understanding what exactly liberalism is. But it's interesting to see even among certain conservatives, you have this certain talk, which is seemingly usually sort of dismissed, but it's interesting how it just pops up like just occasionally, like it's always like a reevaluation, I guess.
But Anya, you are not on board with the Catholic King
No,
of
I am
America.
not.
What would you do if you could establish a new political regime?
I don't know. I haven't actually had any thought on it, but I would say I think going back to our foundation and bringing Christ back into that foundation, because I feel like we've lost a lot of that in our political world, even though like we have presidents who are Christian, but I don't think that even if you say the title, it doesn't mean that you truly are and that you're not representing it. So having those values, and of course, like I don't believe in like pushing your religious beliefs on anybody, but just bringing back to the foundation of where this country was started is extremely important.
I think that's a really interesting thought, because I've got some friends who at least they made this argument, and I haven't quite been able to shake it. The argument was that America was founded inside a broadly Protestant perspective in circa 1780s, and that the assumption was that America would remain there. And from our founding, the United States has had a huge eye towards religious liberty. That's obviously in the First Amendment to the Constitution. And George Washington wrote his letter to the Hebrew congregation. Maryland, as the Catholic state, was one of the original 13. So we haven't had complete religious homogeneity, but we had the vast majority being Protestant. And then, but something changes by the time you get to the late 20th century, where you have this massive decline in public religiosity. And you sort of get the rise of what some sociologists call the nuns, the N-O-N-E-S, not the N-U-N-S, but the religious nuns. And then the question becomes, what happens to the American experiment? And the attempt is to say, oh, okay, well, let's just have neutrality. And this is really the punchline, is that the Biden administration claimed neutrality religiously, but they lit up the White House in rainbow colors. Yeah. That for me was a moment like, this is not neutral. There's definitely an angle here. And I don't know how to get to a position. I think I agree with you, Anya, more than I do Matthew. I'm not really on board with either Stephen Wolfe's Christian Prince or a Catholic king. I don't really see that as the answer for America. But I do want there to be some recognition that America has always been a country filled with Christians. Yeah. And that our government actually does best when it generally respects the parameters of Christian orthodoxy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think one thing we could probably all agree on is that there needs to be some sort of return to conventional morality. It's something that probably does not deserve much talking about, for examples and whatnot. But I guess an open question I have, because this is something more of a consideration, like a practical consideration, is how could we restore conventional moral norms as something that
that's a good question.
That in a feasible way. We see how how different people call themselves maybe conservatives, or just people that want some sort of traditional conventional, sound morality, and those that want to basically break from it and impose it on everybody else. But, in our sort of country, in our situation, is there a practical solution, do you think?
I don't know that there is an actual solution to that short of a mass return to Christ, because I think what you can get on a very thin level, in the best case scenario, you can get, say, a secular classical education that really enshrines in the hearts of students the ideals of citizenship, responsibility, courage, legislative wisdom, and so on. But that can never actually reach towards defining what the good is. I don't think you can actually define the good, much like, or maybe truth's a better example. Like, you can't really define truth short of Jesus. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Like, he's maintaining that he, the person, is the ultimate definition of truth. And so I don't know that we can ever get something that lasts. We can get like a mass conviction, maybe. And I would take this as a huge win if in January 1 of 2027, everyone just woke up convinced that weed is a public nuisance and we should ban it everywhere and just stop the spread of this noxious smell. But that doesn't actually say, it is a good to get married, have children, and raise them in the fear and admonition of the Lord. That's really what we need people to do, to actually remember and rediscover what they're really made for. And I think you see those external morals practiced after some level of internal change. And I don't know that there's a lasting sort of that internal change apart from conversion. But we are quickly running out of time. Anya, any last thought? Do you have a solution to Matthew's big, giant conundrum? Because that might be the question of our age right there.
Absolutely.
No, I don't think so. In our politics class we've been talking about, are you able to even reason with certain arguments in today's world without a moral or religious background? And I've discovered that it's a very hard topic to kind of get one reason why without introducing any Christian beliefs or even any moral aspects into that.
Well, if I were going to try and draw this whole conversation together, there was a time in my life when I thought the 5th of November presented this attractive vision of sort of anarchy. I think at least in the year of our Lord 2025, I'm personally no longer really interested in anarchy. The 5th of November today suggests to me like actually today kind of the truly revolutionary move would be to rediscover roots and rediscover morals and rediscover really what it is to live a good life. And that's really what we need. We've been lied to for many, many, many years with false answers to those questions. But a truly revolutionary move today would be to go all the way back to the basics, to understand what it is to be human and how to live a happy life. Yeah. Well, thanks, Anya and Matthew, for joining me here today on this bonus episode of The Optimistic Curmudgeon. And thank you, listeners, to this audio episode. If you're intrigued, please do migrate over to the YouTube channel. You can just search for The Optimistic Curmudgeon. You can find me over on X. I tweet as @TheOptimisticC3. And then you can also check out what we're doing over here at Thales College at thalescollege.org. Until next time, seek the good, remember the true, and enjoy the beautiful.